All right, welcome. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming tonight. We are going to get started, and I just have a couple of announcements, and then we'll get Dario going. All right, so a couple of quick things. As you guys probably all know, the Expo is happening again this year, so we have open calls for speakers and startups, and we're going to have continuing more and more development on sponsors that are coming in, and it's all looking good for this upcoming year, so keep that on your radar. We are still doing the artificial intelligence / VR meetup. Kickoff is scheduled for July, but we actually need to find a venue for it, so we're going to lock that in soon. The dev group is tonight. And then next meetup is, the full meetup is on June 20th. And that's VR for Good Causes, with special guest is Epic / Unreal is going to be here, which is really, really awesome. We have a enterprise event up in Boston, June 26th, and we have a coupon. So if you want to take the ride to Boston, please use that coupon. And then there's a bunch of events for the Games for Change. So Games for Change will also be at the VR for Good event, and they have a big event at the end of June. So definitely keep that on your radar. Second, so we are filming. Jimmy's not here tonight, so I'm kind of doing it, but we will likely post this after some review. And also, any developers looking for some help, Rod, right here. Our company, the Glimpse Group. We're busy, so that's all really good signs. I think everyone knows about these, but we do have the Developer Equipment Evaluation Program. So if you're interested in borrowing, does everyone know about the DEEP program? Anyone not know, I should say? Okay. So we loan out equipment, and if you're interested in loaning out any of these items, just come up to me afterwards and we'll put you on the queue. We just ask that you take it home, play with it, and then give us a one-page write-up that we send back to the manufacturers. We have cameras and a VIVE, thanks to Dario.
What are the limitations? You say you take it home, but is it like week, month? There's some sort of parameter?
Most of the time, it's you take it at the one meetup and you bring it back at the next meetup. The Booz camera is really, really popular, so I've been doing 1 week for that, because I figured people can kind of schedule their shoot, go shoot with it, and then bring it back, and we get a lot more people if it's on a weekly basis. And most of these I keep at my office in Midtown, so it doesn't have to get handed off at the event. I actually don't have any equipment with me tonight, so if anybody was planning on getting it, you'll have to come by my office. So it's really cool that you get to actually play around with some of this stuff. I've been playing a lot with the Booz, and it's a lot of fun. And then the next thing is the collaboration group. I don't know if does anyone not know about the collaboration group? Okay, same folks there. So I end up teaming people up together to go off on little challenges, and it's a way to fill out your portfolio and get to network a little bit. So if you guys are interested in doing that, come up. I put your name into my spreadsheet. We just formed, from the last meetup, 3 different 4-person teams that are off and running, but I could even squeak you into one of those teams. So,
what kind of things do they do?
So one team is really 360 video based, so I give a challenge and they're going to go out and shoot something. The other one has a modeler and a Unity person and a UX person. So that one I didn't really give them a strict challenge, but I said, go create an experience. And the third one was kind of a hybrid, so we haven't quite figured out what they're going to do. So each team kind of relies on their skill sets, and I won't pair a Unity expert with a Unity beginner. I'll pair a 3D modeler with a Unity person and say, go create something cool. All right. Mr. Dario.
Thank you.
Yep. Oh, and let's welcome Mr. Gasper here today.
A special guest.
Special guest. one last thing. So we typically hold our events at Microsoft. They're in transition. So next month, June 20th will be our last event here. But I am looking for a new venue space. So if anybody has connections to a venue that would like to house us, we are looking.
Hello. Yes.
Oh. There.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah? Okay.
All right.
All right, thanks, DJ. For those who don't know who I am, I'm the Senior Developer Evangelist at HTC. Amongst many hats, it's promoting SDKs via workshops. I put workshops in quotes because this is primarily a lecture. In an ideal situation, you'd all have PCs and hooked up with a lot of pros. We only have one pro here. This is the HTC VIVE Pro. For those not aware, this improves on the Vive in a number of ways. I'm going to be focusing on just one of them, and that's the two front-facing cameras. So some semantics I want to talk about. And so I was just at AWE last week, Augmented World Expo, and I kind of expected it to happen, but not, well, I sort of expected it. I got into arguments, heated debates on this nomenclature, the semantics of the virtual continuum. I usually like to go historically, even though I'm going to give up soon. Mixed reality originally meant the whole continuum, from reality through virtual reality, with augmented reality and augmented virtuality in between. Ideally, eventually, we're probably going to have just one headset that does the whole spectrum. Right now, this is not that, and I want to clarify up front. A lot of people say, oh, that does AR. No, it doesn't. It's not a VR/AR headset. It wasn't intended for that. It's been redefined recently in this book, Augmenting Alice. It's been redrawn this way, from physical reality at the bottom through augmented reality, adding in hyper reality. That's when you go to like a location-based experience and you actually feel things around you, through augmented virtuality, which is kind of what I describe this to be, all the way to virtual reality. So what is this SRWorks SDK? Is HTC introducing yet another acronym? So it's funny because I was internally upset that we named SR because we don't need another, something to fill in XR. It just happens to be the name for the SDK. There's no official, although unofficially it's either super reality or see-through reality. But again, I'm going to give up and let people call it mixed reality, and if they want to call it AR, fine. But I'm going to show you some use cases where it really diverts from what you think of as AR. Why another SDK isn't OpenVR/SteamVR plugin in Unity enough? Technically it is. You can actually get the raw camera images, even in the first Vive, and I'll talk about that, and do whatever manipulation you want to do and even create your own sense of creating depth and so forth. But why reinvent the wheel? This is a tough, CV in general is tough. So we put a lot of effort into creating dedicated background services in native code that will do this stuff for you, so it makes it easy. And hence we found a need for this SDK. In the original Vive, and if you have a Vive, you may have noticed that you have that pass-through effect for setting up your boundaries. You can actually double-click on the system button to see like a Tron-looking like effect, but technically you can write your own app, even with the original Vive, to do your own tricks, like I did here. So the reason why now it's getting more attention is because with stereo, of course, you get a true 3D effect. You can actually feel like you're walking through a room and not just looking at a TV screen. What's the caveat? It's basically that we're still working with the same camera we had in the original Vive. We just simply added a second one, so the VGA resolution. So it's not ideal for some of the AR what the AR dreamers are thinking of doing with this. No, this is more primarily for obviously for security, for boundary, but you can also do depth that you can use inside your virtual world, not necessarily put the pass-through on. Here's some examples I did using just a single mono camera on the regular Vive. You can use OpenCV to actually do filter effects, and that's me touching the cat there. I've seen people do even more complex things. This was posted. Let's see if I can get the. Well, let me get the link for this. It was a link. Small. Is that it? Wait, let me escape for a second. May I put the link in here? No, it failed to put the link. This I found on YouTube, posted 2016. Oh, this is the link to the video. Wait, let's do that again. Yeah. This guy did it before we even launched. He used a Vive Pre, and he managed using, I'm going to guess, OpenCV to do hand tracking with a mono camera. So now imagine if you can do that with the mono camera, what you can do with the stereo camera. You can even get the proper direction that the hand is facing it. Because here, obviously, the mono, you can't tell which direction you're actually facing. So just to inspire those who are really into computer vision, you can do a lot with a basic webcam, let alone now that you have two cameras as part of the headset. So how do you get started? So right now we're supporting the latest Unity version. That includes 2018.1. You'll need the SteamVR plugin. It's actually optional, but the examples we decided our examples to use the frameworks that come with SteamVR. So in that sense, using the interaction system that they have. But of course, you can use any framework you want. You can get the plugin now. It's been live. It's available at our developer website. And we also support native C APIs and Unreal Engine support as well. You get them all in one package. And then inside that package, you just have to know that you have to import these Unity packages. One for the core SDK and one for the experience. And this experience basically is all your sample code in one experience, so you can see all the APIs functioning. And I'll actually run a demo. I'll build it here and run a demo of it. First, just a quick obligatory diagram, the chart of how this framework works. Essentially, in addition to the pass-through capabilities, which involves undistorting the distortion of the lenses and so forth, we have essentially two dedicated services. One to determine depth in real time, and one is to reconstruct. Basically, you can scan. You can use this to scan your room and create a model out of it. And those two dedicated services are critical for both static meshes and dynamic meshes. But I won't go through this too much. So basically, there's three modules. There are three services that run in the background: the see-through, the depth, and the 3D reconstruction. And here's some more examples of what you can do with the SRWorks. I found this just today on YouTube. Well, that's not what I wanted to do. This one. Let's go to the next slide. There we go. So he scanned what looks like his bedroom, and then he's running basically the demo that I'm going to be showing you live in a bit, where you can actually throw virtual ping pong balls, and it'll bounce off your room, basically, the objects you've scanned. And so that's one way of doing collisions. Basically, you can scan your room, create colliders for it, or you can have it dynamically detect a depth and create dynamic colliders.
That's all in real time, or it was scanned?
So you scan the room, and then in real time is the collisions with the ball.
Okay, but the room is scanned prior.
Yes, and I'll show you how to do that. I'll probably scan this room. We'll do tests.
Yeah, like if it moves a chair, it's not going to know that.
Well, that's why there's a different mode called dynamic.
Yeah.
And I'll show that too.
Okay.
So when we launched this SDK, we also launched an example called Portal, and we published this example. So here it is. This room is also scanned, and we have this feature called Portal, which you create a portal into your virtual world, and then you can actually interact, throw things through the portal, and it'll bounce as you would expect physics to work both in the real world and the physical world, depending on what's there. And you can actually, of course, walk through it. Now, I've seen some seasoned VR developers when they first try this on, and it's just, they feel like it's the first time they tried VR because it's a new experience. And I think for onboarding, it's ideal. If you have someone who's never experienced VR, it's easier to get them to transition. Like you can actually put the hints of what the buttons do, and they actually see their fingers. Whereas before, they couldn't find the grip buttons, for example. So yeah, I think ideally every VR app should have this now option. If you're running on a Pro, let them start it in reality and then just transition through Portal. Yeah, I don't know if you noticed there, he managed to bounce some things in and out of the portal. All right, I'm going to go to the next one, and this one is where our special guest comes in. Let me just run this video. So Gasper's the lead developer here, and he's here. I'd like him to say a few words, if you want.
Sure. I guess.
How was it like to work with this SDK?
I mean, actually, I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to ask you a quick question because I've always been pondering this.
Do you need a microphone?
No, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
So basically, when you first approached me and you said like, hey, we have this cool thing on the Vive Pro. I mean, do you have any ideas or something that we could do? I shared, hey, how about if we have the character come in and do kind of like the whole Matrix thing, maybe do a portal. And then he comes 3 weeks later like, hey, here's the SDK, and lo and behold, there's a portal in there. So did you build a portal for me, or was it pure coincidence?
That was pure coincidence.
Okay. Because I literally had to do no work. I mean, all that I did with we had the see-through camera in there. We could do the scanning room and whatnot, but since we're doing a lot of public venues, sometimes the environment just doesn't lend itself to do proper scanning. So we just kept it simple. Just flat surface, bring some AR elements into it, and play whack-a-mole, set the player up to thinking that he's playing probably the most stupid game ever built. And then in the middle of that, it's like, boom, Portal, let's switch everything on them. And then the whole thing was already built into it. So, I mean, it was super easy. I mean, the whack-a-mole thing, I built in like about 2 or 3 days. There were a couple of hiccups and whatnot. And then after that, it was just about getting the right transition. And in the demo, I mean, which is the build that you have, we actually stop the game after you go through the portal and you see the what we call the ghost instructor telling you like, hey, walk through the portal, and then everything stops. But in the last build that we did for Augmented World Expo, we actually went transition from that into the real game. Not to mention that we did it multiplayer, location-based. And with the, I mean, can I talk about the capabilities?
Sure, yeah.
I mean, with the new lighthouses, I mean, now you can do like 10 meters, right? 32 feet by 32 feet. I used to work with other companies that are using OptiTrack systems, and a space like that would cost easily $100,000 plus to build, just on hardware alone, then the backpack computers and everything else. I was actually doing the same thing at Augmented World Expo for less than $10,000. I mean, and everybody was loving it. And to the point of the whole see-through camera thing, there was a funny anecdote that father and daughter team, they came to the booth to try to play the game, and the girl was like, she was probably like about 6 years old. She was really scared, saying like, "Papi, I'm scared. Is this gonna be scary? I don't know if I want to do VR." And I told her, "Hey, this is totally cartoon-based. It's all, you know, cutesy ghosts and whatnot. Don't worry about it." So the first thing that I noticed is, first of all, I'm running the booth by myself. So I could actually have one person put on the helmet, then go to the other one, and that person is seeing the whole world. So I could manage the whole booth without any person, you know, without any risk of somebody just walking around and bumping into a wall or something, because they're aware about the environment. When the game started, I could also give them visual cues like, okay, I want you guys to stand here, face this way. We're going to start the game. Are you guys ready? Ready. Okay, let's start. So that made things a whole lot easier. And third, for the girl that was playing, the fact that she was seeing her dad in the environment real time as they were playing whack-a-mole, she was totally eased into the experience, to the point that she went from whack-a-mole into the portal, and when she was going into the portal, it was kind of like being apprehensive, like, okay, let me see, if she gets too scared, then I'm just going to cut her out. She played through the whole thing. And then 30 minutes later, when I was packing up, they come back saying, "Hey, Papi, can we play again?" And I was like, I mean, she was scared, and this thing was like an excellent tool for onboarding somebody, not only just to set them into VR, but people that might be apprehensive about the technology or might be scared. Great tool to get the youngsters into this. And I guess that's it. I mean, besides that, I mean, I love HTC, that's all I guess.
Thanks. This feels more like a keynote than a workshop. So having that onboarding experience, have a mini game, that was your idea. That was really great. Let me show you some more examples from like different developers and what they're doing. This one I thought was pretty cool. It's using, of course, a scanned room, but it's using shaders to really manipulate that room and make it, you know, really interesting. And then let's see, there's another one. Talk over going through the whole thing from scratch. Let's just open a new project and build one of the samples, and then talk about all the components and how that works. So we basically we launched earlier this year, but we were seeding pros late last year. So we've been through a number of revisions to this software, but it's still a work in progress. The challenge is, and I kind of skipped over the caveats of the issues. Well, I mentioned the resolution issue, but basically there's also a latency issue. And the reason all the top high-end AR headsets don't use cameras is because it's hard to completely eliminate the latency of what the camera sees and what you actually see. So there's ways of hiding that. Just like there's ways of hiding the resolution, like he did. He used screen filters to hide the low resolution. If you give you that dreamlike experience, you can hide the resolution, the latency in several ways as well. You can actually delay the actual motion of your objects so that they kind of match the latency of the camera. But that's something we're completely, in fact, the version that we just pushed out today reduces the latency by half. So it was as bad as 200 milliseconds, now it's 100 milliseconds. But still a ways to go. And we're going to be working closely with Valve and other companies to make sure that keeps improving.
Isn't that the driver of the low resolution camera too? Because if they had higher resolution, it'd be more latency.
Is it the resolution that's causing latency? I don't think so. I think it's just the timing between the pose and the actual. Actually, it's the frame rate of the camera that affects it too. So just like the regular Vive, you can adjust it from 30 to 60. Ideally, it would match the actual 90, but it doesn't. So maybe one day we'll have high-res 90 frame per second cameras. Then we're talking improvements. All right, let's just call this in one here.
Okay, this is a strange question.
Sure.
Since you have two cameras, you're running at 60. There's no way of splitting them so that they're every other, so you could jump to 120. The problem, unless I'm misunderstanding, you want to render at 90, so your whole system has to run at 90. If you're capturing at 60, there's no way it's going to match up, period. So
right.
If you can increase your capture rate of your cameras to be 90 or higher.
Right, but that's just the function of the camera itself.
Right. Okay, I might be, this sounds like I'm talking above what I know, but if there was any way of getting the two cameras to not be capturing at the same frame, you literally can offset them. You literally would have 120 frames.
You mean offset the left and right? Then you run into other problems.
People distance and things. Now you have to switch between the 2 points.
Yes.
And then now
your accuracy goes down, but your capture rate goes up so that you can stay in step. Oh.
I know if you have two lenses that are not gen locked, it's a really bad experience. That's the reason why gen lock cameras are really important. So I don't think that
This isn't what you're seeing. This is what's captured.
Yeah.
And let's just go to our developer session. You can see where to download this stuff.
I did see some guys on Vectorworld Expo that they're guys using the same mini, but it was refreshing rather quickly when what they did is instead of giving you the whole field of view, mini square. That's okay, so just focusing on this part right
I should probably acknowledge our competitors, although they're actually friends of mine. The Stereolabs has a camera, a Z camera, a mini Z camera, which you actually attach, kind of looks like the Leap Motion sort of, and you simply attach it to the front of the Vive. So obviously we wouldn't be happy putting that on top of the Pro. I think there's plenty of the Vive, the mono ones that could use their technology. They connect via USB 3, and they're getting really low latency, and they've been working on this problem for years. So they're experts in doing the occlusion. So at AWE, their demo was a ping pong table, and two players were playing each other. But you can still see issues, which I'll show you as well, where you can still see the real world between fingers sometimes. It doesn't. The occlusion is still a challenge, even with low latency, high resolution cameras. So we've kind of redesigned our Vive developer hub so that all the SDKs are in one place for all the different devices. I should also point you to this device, which if you haven't tried it, you'll get to try it later. It's standalone. It's the Vive Focus, and it runs our own SDK on top of Android. And essentially, it launched at the beginning of this year in China. We've licensed the software to a number of other standalone manufacturers in China. I think there's about 12 now, including Pico. It really changes the game, and I'm talking about all the standalones, not just ours, because with 6DOF, and I'm talking about 6DOF standalones, not that GoPro. it really, you can keep that immersion, and in our case, the resolution of this is the same as the Pro, although the frame rate's lower, it's 75 instead of 90. But every year there's a new generation of GPUs, and we're using the Qualcomm Snapdragon 835. They've already announced the 845, so you can just imagine that catching up to the PC level of capabilities, but not quite, because the PC is always going to be that. So I'll talk about that a little after. But basically, you go to this side, you can just download any of our SDKs. So the VIVE SRWorks SDK, that's the one that we're going to look at. I obviously already downloaded it, so let's just try it. This is SteamVR plugin. So I'm just going to use two plugins, SteamVR plugin, and I'm going to once these two plugins load in, we're in business. I just want to, for now, go to the desktop to start. Just do this desktop. So when you download it, you unzip it, and we have support for a native C, Unity, Unreal. We have a guide. I should probably open that. It goes into a lot of detail that I'm just quickly going over, but if you really want to get started and go through all the steps and examples and what the requirements are and what happens when you, well, we'll actually see some of this, but it also gives you a layout of what's inside the Unity folders and all the folders for the SDK, so on, opening a sample scene, and how to debug things, make sure the camera's working. Those are more SteamVR related issues. Okay, accept all the options for Steam. And let's dig into Unity. Plugin. Like I said before, there's an experience, there's the core plugin. We're going to do the core plugin first. So that'll get imported, and that's got all the core services that run every time you enable SR in your app. It runs everything in the background. It's using NVIDIA CUDA services as well. So we're kind of biased towards NVIDIA versus AMD. So we decided to split the samples from this Unity package. This is just easier to manage. If you already know what you're doing, there's no need to always load the samples with the core SDK. So this, why is this reversed? You have to define layers. In Unity, layers enables you to, for each eye, filter out the other eye. And so we dedicate 2 layers for the left and right eyes, right cameras. So I'm going to update those layers so that it stays with Unity across applications. That's okay because we haven't actually put anything in our scene. There's actually a third layer that goes into your scene for your regular VR camera. So there's 3 layers, one for each camera, physical camera, and one for your virtual camera. So after that, I'm just going to also install the experience example code. And I'll just run that and you'll see live what that looks like, all the features of the API. So it's a pre-built scene, so it'll be fast to get started. App, and just show you this scene here. I'm using the SteamVR framework, so it uses a player component representing you, and you'll notice the Vive SR prefabs. This is what you drop into every scene that you want Vive SR support. So just simply, well, for this example, we have the player, and you would go into Vive SR for the core prefab, and just drop Vive SR into your scene, and you'll have the pass-through running out of the box. Of Of course, there's always options, whether you want it to be enabled automatically or not. Maybe there's times when you want to start a VR and then switch to SR. All right, let's just run this. Right, as you can see, I've got.
Actually, can you make the window bigger?
Oh yeah. Okay, much better. As you can see, the virtual and real controllers are pretty closely matched. There's that slight latency that I talked about.
Yeah,
So I
hold them
shake
up
that
so
back
I
and
can
feel the view. If you,
Look a little bit lower, I think. There you go.
there you are. Okay. I'll stay here.
No, down. Head down.
Lower your gaze. Keep your hands up.
Picture with you.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah. Your hands still.
Just imagine you're typing.
So now I'm going to enable depth, so you can see a depth map.
Raise your hand.
And you can see the closer stuff is in red and the further stuff is blue.
Look lower. And keep your hand up. Don't move your hand and just look lower.
Look
More
lower.
lower. There you go.
Wow,
Yeah,
really
now you're
upset.
showing.
And now I can't see. All right, is that all right?
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can use that depth information in any way you want. It gives you full access to the cloud. So that's just an example of that. Calibration calibrates the real with the virtual. It's pretty close as it is. I can get it better. 3D previews. So this is where I scan the room. As you can see, I should have moved that controls that way, but I can get rid of those. I'm scanning.
Oh, that's cool. Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Super.
it's like, and you really want to get a lot of room, the floor as well. And of course, we added new camera parameters to affect the lighting. Obviously, the better the lighting, the better the scan. So, and I'll talk about this a little more after we finish this slide. I think this is good enough. Maybe not. Let me get some more. I want to get the second one.
The range seems to be pretty limited.
No,
And you have to walk up very close.
yeah, I have to walk up closer.
You still have Slack on the table. You can still move forward. Yeah, we're good.
There we go. Trying to get the second one a little bit.
Should I put the lights up? You think that'll help?
That would help for sure.
Put the lights up.
So notice that as you walk by, try to include this. And so this is a static scan. I'll show you dynamic scan in a bit, but basically static scan, you don't want people walking around.
Yeah, you can probably do the floor now better, I think. So we have better lighting. Maybe not. Oh.
It also makes some assumptions. If it doesn't scan all of it, it'll put planes, a horizontal plane, or vertical plane as well. So I think this could do it. So I'm going to save this. Save mesh. Am I holding it high enough?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This could take a little bit. DJ, let me know how we're doing that time.
I think it's like 8.
So
Yeah, we got an hour.
So when you're saving the mesh, you're not still scanning.
No, I'm not.
You stop scanning and
Stop scanning. Yes, you can probably make that save without that. But you really need it to fully finish because we're going to be using it in other places. So just for example, Oh, now it loaded. So it loaded the mesh, and then I can actually throw a ball, and it just bounced off his light. You saw that? And that's showing you the mesh. I can double click the grip button to toggle. But essentially, that's what you want to do. You want to create a mesh, and see that? Yeah.
Yeah, look down a little bit more when you throw it. Yeah.
There it is.
You need a shooter. So you know.
Oh,
And again, this is what excites people about AR, this interaction. And what you can also do is make this happen in VR. So now, you can see that I wrote the model into my virtual reality world, and I can continue doing the same thing. So this is bringing reality into your virtual experience. And of course, you can populate it with anything you want, animated, and more animated, and then dynamic MR. Now calling it MR. It's used to say SR. Oh, so this is dynamic. So this you can actually walk around. Like if you were to get up, see it?
Look down.
So I did not scan him standing up. So this is scanning dynamically. It's just doing it. You know, it's not a full scan. It's just in front of you. But it's useful for games where you actually have to move around. All right, moving ahead. I got to show the forward one. Right, so I created a portal there, and I can actually. Should I look up or use
Down.
down?
Yeah.
You see that portal there?
Yeah.
I can actually enter that world. Now I'm in a completely virtual world with fireplace, log, and then I look back, there's my reality there. And yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's a new experience, really. Of course, you can throw and physics work in the virtual world. And let's see if it works when I go back.
And
No, this time
it's not dynamic.
it's using the
Okay.
not even.
so this is using the mesh that you saved at the beginning.
Yeah. Well, I think right now it's mostly using the horizontal wall. Yeah, it's not. I can't tell what it is.
Can
No,
you
it's not.
can you side grip
So
it?
for this example, since we try to keep each example simple, you could enable it to take the static scan like this one did. I know in our specific video we did enable it. It's just a matter of coding, and I'll show you how to enable and disable what you want to do. Next, shader effects. Now this is simple. You basically can change the quality by putting a full screen filter. This one I like. This is kind of a sketch, cartoonish type of sketch.
Oh, that's weird. Looking at the screen.
Oh, you mean like looking at this?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh.
Well, all right. This is like a pseudo thermal effect, and then you've got night vision, like sharp, like this. So I think this is pretty much all the effects available in the API. Of course, you can imagine it and find these. Yeah. Scan again.
We can't see what you're doing with your hands.
So I'm just going through again. I think we covered them all. So I'm going to move ahead. I'm trying to find another example. Actually, let me just show you what's in the code. Okay, so we give you access to, if you look at our VIVE SR rig, VIVE SR prefab, this is where all the magic happens. If you dig down into this, this is where it renders left and right eyes. It actually shows you exactly how it's distorted and undistorted. This is the reconstruction, which actually reconstructs the static scene from files when you save it. This is where it saves it. And you can, all this is, you can change. It's disabled by default, but I can enable it. And so on. In this specific experience, we have this Vive SR experience prefab, and this is where it defines that menu. And a lot of it is really the GUI for rotating that menu on the controller. But if we look at a specific, actually it's much easier rather than see it all in one example. If we open up different scenes for different examples. So for example, dynamic mesh would be just I just needed to show you what it looks like if you show the actual dynamic collisions. So I'm running now just the dynamic mesh part of that menu, that experience. Also, I want to show you how it's actually distorting or undistorting the lens distortion here. So you can actually see that in real time and learn how that's done if you really dig down in it. But what I want to show is when you throw something, maybe it's this one. So here, it's dynamic. I didn't scan. I'm not using a scan, but I can show what it is that it's doing when it's doing dynamic. So as you can see, it's scanning all the time, and it actually at runtime scanning and creating colliders in real time. And it's not as accurate as a static scan, of course, but it gives you enough so that if something is walking by you, my hand, for example, and this is how you can actually start. I don't know if you noticed earlier, but the virtual objects always are in front of you. Using the depth and this dynamic scan, you can actually start using your hands to occlude the virtual objects. So, for example, right now, you see how my hand is occluding that virtual ball? That's how that...
Look down a little bit. Yeah, there you go.
So it's possible to do. It's just it's not perfect, obviously, but it's doable. I can pretend to hold it, and you can actually. I have a better example where I'm slapping something, but basically it's doable. Occlusion, because it's one thing I think all developers, including Gasper, ask me about. How do you occlude a virtual object with an overlay of what's in front of it? So this is how you would do it. And since it's just doing this example, you can.
I guess I don't answer, but just in case, can you do a pre-scan of a room and then run the dynamic?
You can do both.
Okay. Or you can have the occlusion and also have the precise one.
Yes, that would make more sense if you want to have collision with the room and with something in front of it. Yes. So again, a lot of this, the scripts are part of the core, some more specific to the examples, but they're fairly easy to walk through it. Let's just walk through this one, for example. slides. I wanted to show a video of what you can do with this other one. This is fairly recent news that we've announced being able to use the front-facing cameras of this one in clever ways as well. I'm just going to quickly show that video. So again, this is a 6-stop headset. So you can walk infinitely actually, but for safety reasons, we actually have a boundary.
Can you override that? On the home?
Yes.
Come on,
And I'll show you a demo of it as well. And I'll show you the pass-through on that as well, because we finally enabled it. Similar to when you double-click on the system button to see the pass-through, we have the same thing there. Double-click on the home, or actually double-click on the power button to be able to. So this is the gestures we added. So you can actually start doing swipes. You can actually start doing pinch and zoom, and it's coming to the standard. So, and that's mainly what I wanted to show. I wanted to see the rest of that. Oh, well, let's see the 6-stop capabilities of using the phone as a 6-stop controller. All right, now I can stop this. And that's it. These are the resources again. Here's a link to the slides, my contact info, and then I'm going to try to show a different demo. That's also involving gestures or inclusions with the hand tracking.
Can you explain the 6-stop phone controller a little bit?
So, you mean how he was putting it behind his head and not being trapped by the eyes?
Yeah, well, I guess it's a specific phone too, right? It's not
Yes, it's our U12 Plus phone. It's kind of limited to that right now, but I'm sure we can open it up to all Android phones. So it was more 6-stop with the phone than it was with the 3-dot controller he was holding.
Yeah.
But it is using the front-facing cameras to help with the positioning. It's just that the eye views themselves are enough to do a lot of the motion that's going behind you.
Okay. So kind of like the mixed reality controllers, they kind of guess where.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And we're planning to release what we call the Gestures SDK for that device very soon. So you can start doing all the swipes and pinch and zoom yourself. And that's what a lot of people are waiting for. Sometimes just the controllers, it's not intuitive or natural enough. We're going to go in that direction. We're going to want to do everything with our hands. So with that in mind, I'm going to try to run a different project that we haven't released yet. I was playing around with it, see what the limitations are. But basically, I want to be able to interact with objects with my hands. That's okay. Oh, and I do want people to try the app that you saw from Project Ghost. I have it here. It's a lot of fun. You get more of an idea of what you can do when you're inside it. But, so there's 2 more demos and we're done. What happened? I'm still opening that.
So if you're doing gesture controls, I mean, in theory, you're doing some basic position tracking of the actual hands, right? So if you go like a boxing game, that shouldn't be too hard, right?
Right. It's very coarse. It's not. It's the ocean's got years ahead of us of being able to figure.
Yeah, but for boxing, I don't care about my fingers. I just care about my 2 punches.
Yeah, for that, yes, definitely. So here it's just a basic scene I created with some objects. And we're going to try to interact with them. What?
Could we decrease the scale in the game window for us?
Out here. And maybe that's what will happen before you. Thanks. I don't know. Make sure we always maximize the play for that. Just see where I left this. All right, no controllers. We should be able to just interact with his. This works. All right, so what I'm going to do is, so you can see the occlusion is limited a bit, but the fact that I can actually do that is cool, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to work towards, so that it's a cleaner occlusion. Occlusion works. So you can interact through the world with your hands, not use controllers.
Do you have
Is there a range that it's sensitive to? Like
You can actually control that now.
Okay.
Before we had a limitation of how close you can be, but now you can extend that. Yeah, so that's where things are going. It's only going to get better. This is still considered early access or beta.
Is there a demo scene for this one? For the push button?
No, but I'm working hard to provide one. Again, if you go to our website, I'm constantly posting on the forums. I'm probably going to post this demo on the forum so that people can start using that code.
Could you do that again? I want to read it.
Sure, I'll do it again.
Hold the source file.
Just, I had previously done this, so yeah, here's the build. I won't hit it as hard. I'll be kinder. Alright, so here, do I look down or up or what?
No,
You're perfect.
So I want to just touch it. I'll see it go away. You're running on your eye. Alright, so we're not quite up to doing basketball yet, but so this is the beginnings of what I want to be able to do without controllers. A lot of the artistic experiences could probably just touch things, make sounds, play instruments, and so forth. So again, it's just what your imagination can do.
So is that ball still moving?
Yeah.
So
It's the most basic of easy started. All I do is just grab a box, a cube, and a sphere in the scene, and add a collider, and yeah. I could probably add physics. I could probably scan the room, add physics, and that way it could just bounce around the room. So that's a better example.
So for the occlusion detection, if you put your hand behind the board,
No, I'll run it again. All right, we'll do a proper full.
How processor intensive is that occlusion detection? I mean, is there a big hit in performance doing that? Or?
I'm still doing performance testing, but you're asking if I go around. Oh, no. Come back. You're going to run again. No, but the fact that, what I'll do is I'll hit it towards you, and you'll see that you're behind it. Okay. One more time.
So is HTC still working on the hand controllers?
For,
Like the updated controllers?
right. For the Vive?
Yeah, for the Vive.
Yeah, I can't talk about roadmap, but this one, again, the only difference is that it supports the tracking too. If you're asking about knuckles and stuff like that, you have to ask them now. All right, this time around, let's see what I can do without touching it. Whoa, get on my head.
I get the idea.
All right.
Do it again.
Again. She just fixed the code, so I
Can you try to just open it from the project and just set it as a whatchamacallit as a kinematic? That way you won't move and you can put it back and forth.
No, I think it's.
Your collider box is probably a little large. Just kidding.
I didn't have a cube too. I thought I had two things in Maybe not. Wait, it's crashed again, right?
Yeah.
So I'm actually talking to developers and artists who have used the Leap Motion before to do simple hand gestures and touch objects, and to see that if this would work for them. This isn't working.
Oh yeah. We
Yeah.
start off. That happens sometimes.
Too many times.
You know why that happens?
It's a video driver issue. Still, I know. So we're working with NVIDIA as well, fixing their bugs. What am I doing? Just going to the folder. Does someone else want to try doing it instead of me? Since you were asking, do you want to come up and do it?
I'll try the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What hardware are you running, Dario?
This is a 1070. See, look. There you go.
Okay, so,
Yeah, that's a clue. Can you bet?
yeah. Yeah, so I saw it's working. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a good
cool.
one, yeah. And can I really?
You should be able to move it.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm inside of the board, that's why I cannot move it around.
You walk around the ball.
See if I.
Let's see if she can do it.
This should be the where I did it. You can see. This is no. I think I'm
Wait a minute. No, that's not where the ball is. Is it further out there?
It knows your hands,
I think it's here. Is it?
Yeah, move it back.
Should we put a
So I try,
Slap it. Yeah.
try here. No, not this here.
I think it's gotta be closer.
I don't know what happened here
doesn't
exactly.
someone need to put it on?
Try.
Put it on. Come over here, put it on.
They might need to take the hand.
Yeah, it might be.
It's funny.
Yeah, it could be a limited range.
There we go. That's it.
Yeah, that's the point.
It's not.
Moving it.
Again, this is early unreleased code.
Smaller.
Okay, cool. All right, so who wants to try Project Ghost? Just the AR part. Yeah, I'm saying myself, AR. Where did I put it?
So the equation on the sample is just based on the distance from the HMD and the object. It's not really in the 3D space. That's what's going on, right? And the equation is based on if your hand is closer to your hammer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wouldn't want for multiplayer.
Yeah, code, but just want to open this. All right, someone has to come up. Who hasn't come up yet?
Are the two controllers on?
Yeah.
I think it can pop out.
Now put your eyes, put it over your eyes first, and then there's a dial. There we go. Oh, I don't even know. Oh yeah, this is it. So now I hit spacebar, right?
I think so, yeah. Either it's backspace or, yeah. You don't hear audio, but there's probably going to be a little bit of yep, there's a voice.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to the audio. Oh, he's hearing the audio.
No, I don't hear anything. Oh, that's great.
But I
You can
can
walk up to them, it's really cool.
And actually, one thing that we changed from the latest build is we made the ghost kind of like a gelatinous see-through type. Because, again, since we're not using the active occlusion, when you put your feet, like you're trying to step on one of them, it looks really weird, like one thing is on top of the other. But if everything's see-through, it totally makes sense.
All right.
Walking with the pedestal.
Yeah.
Walking with the pedestal.
This is a wall. All right.
That's except in this demo, actually.
So we didn't show you actually.
It's just the build, the anticipation, and that's it. Anyone else want to try it?
But one thing, I mean,
Can I step back out?
No, that's the end of that. It's a short demo.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I got maybe also have something where I'm using like hand controls and kind of like simulating like AR stuff with like a sword and cutting stuff in front of the room. And something that I noticed that in SR or in AR, whatever you want to call it, less is more. I had a demo where I had it. So here's a target, here's another target, here's another target. Like the AR, everything's there's too much stuff and it's really clever. Like we keep things simple, just a few elements. It's more
All right.
convincing.
That's cool.
All right, who's the next person? Yeah. I got to start it over, right?
Do you have access to YouTube in there?
Oh, you have another YouTube video?
Yes, I can show you the video with the sword cutting the stuff and the stuff flying on the floor. It's actually
Oh, yeah, sure.
Spacebar.
Oh, wait, I didn't fix the audio. Give me a second.
It's like,
Do you hear any audio?
yo,
Wait, I'm going to start it again. Let's
Okay.
do it right.
Do you have to do mirror audio from the Steam VR?
Oh, right. Hold on, let's start it again.
like the fact makes like everyone looks like ghosts. It's like scarier than actual monsters.
Your hair is out of control too.
Realtek, no, yours. The Realtek will do your computer. You want to do the HDMI one, right? You want to point to the speakers?
No, my laptop is using USB instead of HDMI.
Okay.
Actually, just launching this for it. Do you hear anything?
I think that only when you press the button.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear from your laptop.
It's just coming out of your laptop.
Oh.
These are all free assets from the asset store. I really have time to get all the stuff. So the hammers are there. Also are there. You can build that in a heartbeat.
Like a monster like you. It's about that time you done it. Don't look at me like that. This isn't your first time. Look, I don't have time to explain. Just get in here. Meet you. Yes, just walk through the portal. Move it.
That's pretty cool.
Okay, cool. Anyone else want to try it?
I thought you could whack that person.
Okay. Just give me a second. Trying to do the right thing here between pieces. So you were hearing audio, right? I mean, the headset. Was he hearing?
Monkey, were you hearing?
Yeah, I could hear it. All right. Just have to start it over.
Dario, did you want to show the focus too?
Yeah, if anyone wants to try the focus too, we should just adjourn, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna kill the camera. And let me just say thank you to Dario. Can we get a round of applause? And I have a present for you. He's been asking for a very long time, and I don't give these away very easily.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Awesome. All right, thank you, everyone.
Do you need to have the space?